Hey there, science freaks. This Independence Day, we reminded ourselves of the heroes that fought for our nation, soldiers and freedom fighters. But we failed to recognize the contributions of the real heroes that built the nation. Yes, I'm talking about those scientists. And to commemorate their efforts and contributions to our nation, I'm starting a new series, Pragati. In this new series, we'll be bringing to you the stories of those real heroes that contributed to our nation's development and also the journey that took to reach there. And it's not a solo effort. I'll be accompanied with friends and colleagues of mine across the nation to bring you the stories of those real heroes. And today we'll be interviewing our professor Satish Patil, who is a well renowned scientist in the field of organic optoelectronics, which basically means we use organic polymers to synthesize semiconductors such as photovoltaics and photodetectors that can be used in our day-to-day lives. And today I am accompanied with a colleague of mine, Kavya, who is a second year PhD student at IISc. So over to you, Kavya.
Hi.
So, could you just run us through your journey so far? What has motivated you to come up in science research, and can you just talk it about in little bit brief?
Yeah, so I don't think there's a one event in my life made me to, to become a scientist. There are multiple, such small events it motivated me. Perhaps at home, my father was sort of more very academic. So he went to a very sort of a prestigious school, something called Nutan Vidyalaya in Gulbarga in those days, where that was the first Marathi medium school started in Gulbarga, where even Mahatma Gandhi also visited that school. So it's sort of, but he couldn't really complete his educations because of his all family obligations. So there was a, in general, very academic environment at home. So since he was a well-read person, so that motivated me all the time to do well in academics. So eventually we went to a very local school in my village. Everything was taught in Marathi. Then I think the main trigger for me was during my MSc, where one of our teacher was an inorganic chemistry professor. He superannuated, and during that time there was a conference was arranged in University of Aurangabad. That time there were many scientists visited to his function, superannuation functions, and then I sort of got an opportunity to interact with them and listen their seminars and lectures. So that's perhaps I would say major event triggered to me
Okay.
to join NCL Pune, National Chemical Laboratory Pune, because some few scientists came from Pune to felicitate. His name was Professor Jagirdar. So then that sort of triggered me more in, to become a scientist. Yeah, so these
Okay.
are the.
What made you align with your current research of topic, and what made you go to that pathway and choose that pathway, and how did you come up with the idea that okay, I want to pursue research in this field?
Yeah, so that's a difficult question to answer, but what I had somehow a more intuition or interest more in physics. But while growing it up, while doing my BSc and MSc, somehow there was a society norms where people do like organic chemistry research, major organic chemistry, major in organic chemistry, like especially in masters. So we have a lot more job opportunities in pharmaceutical industries. So that was a sort of a thought school. So it somehow again influenced me to, to take measures in organic chemistry because of this society pressure, or maybe I was overthinking about it. Will I even get a job after my masters? So that put me under pressure of, I need to earn right after my masters. So that made me to go for a MSc in organic chemistry. But I always felt, somehow I have a lot more interest in physics. And again, all things came in circle. It's all good. all good things happen to good people. So then it so happened when I was ended up doing research in organic semiconductor, where your intuition physics is very very important to synthesize a new organic semiconductor. So that way, at the current my research program is very towards physical, understanding the physical properties of these organic semiconductor. But doing a major in organic chemistry, it really helped me to practice science and interdisciplinary science now. So I can connect a basic organic chemistry themes to more in a physics.
Okay, okay. And how would you say your journey has been towards setting up your lab? Like from being a PhD researcher, what hurdles you faced then there at that point of time, and then when you were setting up your own lab, what hurdles you faced at that time? Like how was
Yeah,
the transition?
initially it was difficult as when I returned back to India, yes, so because infrastructure was not sufficient to practice a research in organic semiconductor, because you need a synthetic chemistry lab, you need a device fabrication laboratory, you need a lot of equipment or doing a physical chemistry of these materials. So I certainly faced, because when I returned back, they somehow everybody felt it. I'm going to do only synthesis. Okay, so that was somehow a tag on me, and then I had to really struggle saying, okay, I need equipment or doing physical chemistry of these material. Then I had to again further struggle. I can also do devices. So that was the major hurdle. It is just a thought school, but I must say that I'm very blessed to practice science in IISc, because IISc has this, people are really good here. Meaning there are really good scientists in IISc practice science. So somehow they wanted to help, but they couldn't help in the beginning of my research. So it took some time. The progress was not very rapid, because my peer group perhaps in Western world must have got a laboratory what they want soon after they become independent scientists. But here it took some time. So for example, I had to really wait for 10 to 15 years to get a lab what I have today. So that was the major hurdles. But in general, I think IISc is the best place to practice science.
Okay, since you talked about like how it is different being here in India, I would also like to add on the fact that can you tell us more about like how being a researcher in India has impacted your work, or has it impacted your work on a global scale? Do you think it would have been better?
I think infrastructure does play a very important role when you are practicing science, but it has its own beauty when you practice science in your own country. Okay, so basically when you practice science in your own country, somehow you feel that there's a sense of belonging here. Actually, based on that, you are always very motivated, self-driven to certainly make an impact on a global scale. So it would have perhaps scientific ideas, implementing scientific ideas would have perhaps helped if I would have practiced science in Western world. But however, having said that, here there are a lot of good things. As I mentioned, you have a very sort of you feel very happy about it practicing science in your own country. Somehow there is a satisfaction which cannot be explained in word. On top of that, IISc has, I think, all the infrastructure, necessary infrastructure. So, place like IISc, I think we can certainly make a big impact in a global scale, and my science has made a big impact. Now, if you look at the current kind of research program, kind of papers we have written in last 4 5 years, they are as good as people are writing in a top 10 schools across the globe. So we could do it by practicing science in India. So you have some sort of a gratitude, uh, satisfaction in many ways, actually. So as I mentioned, practicing in a science in your own countries has a lot of other benefits which cannot be explained in words. Yeah.
Just to follow up on that, as you mentioned, India is a very diverse country and a lot of ideas comes by. But did you ever face hurdles when it came to publishing results in Western journals? And is there any preconceived notion they have about Indian science, and do you find it difficult to overcome that?
I think it was in the beginning. I cannot deny that it was not there. But once people, your community, so called, every scientific research area has its own community, like organic semiconductor is our own community, or different research areas. Like once you establish yourself, you are a best scientist, and you are really doing a good work. Okay, then what happens is automatically there is a positivity actually. So because your peer reviewers, your you know the competitors in the field also know that you are asking very thought-provoking questions, you are you know uh, helping science to grow further, okay, in a positive manner. Once that message goes within that community, yes, then but when you're practicing science in India, it takes time. You need a lot of patience. In the beginning of when I was very young, perhaps as assistant professor, yes, I must have faced it. But at this stage of my career, I don't think so. I face so much. But having said that, remember that if you are doing something extraordinary, a very new major breakthrough, okay, suppose I start saying tomorrow I made a superconductors based on organic materials, then perhaps I don't know how world is going to receive. Okay, so that level you may have again this all judgmental, preconceived ideas, maybe how people take it. But at the moment, I don't feel so. So it took some time to reach to that this level where I am today. Yeah.
Okay, to add on to that, let's go back to your PhD years. And was there any time you felt like ki, I made a little bit wrong decision or I went into a wrong direction? Instead of pursuing PhD, I might have taken a job and I would have grown a lot in that aspect. And what were those instances which made you feel like that? And how did you overcome those instances?
I haven't felt that. See, because right after, as I mentioned, I did MS in organic chemistry from a very sort of a school. Maybe it's not very, it's a school like it's like universities in India. So there are a lot of universities. We have a large number of universities in India. So I certainly wanted to be independent, in financially independent, because I should not depend on my parents. And right after my masters, but somehow the money did not really inspire me so much. I wanted to have money which is sufficient enough to take care of myself and to support my family. Beyond that, more money never excited me. So that helped me to become a scientist. During my PhD days, I was blessed with a fellowship which I could take care of myself. On top of that, I could also support my family. So that requirement was met during PhD. So then I think I was very happy about it. So I never felt like, oh, if I'm doing PhD, in the basic sciences again, there you see that maybe early 2000, the job opportunities in basic sciences are even less what we have today. So whatever you are getting, so I was very fortunate to go to Germany to do the PhD there. Then that fellowship was sufficient enough to take care of myself as well as support my family. Then my financial needs were met right away. Then what I had is too much time and freedom to practice the science.
Okay, and so to add on to that, like what was one that turning moment in your PhD? You knew that you are gonna have a successful PhD and you are gonna have a good PhD.
Yes, so because see in what okay, so that is I will elaborate a little bit more on that, because as I mentioned, in India, when you're doing a master's in university, you don't get a lot more exposure to the experimental aspects of a science. You do a lot more theory, you do a lot more coursework, but you don't get really exposed to doing, like, experiments. Then when I landed in Germany, I felt my peer group was the people who were PhD students, my colleagues in the lab. They were already had a lot more experience of how to conduct experiment, how to make materials. There, I felt it somehow I'm way behind. So it took again some time for me to learn from them. They were very kind enough to teach, and they were good people around. So that is where I felt it like, it is very, very important back home to have such people should have such exposure of a experimental aspect of the science. And then it took for me for it took at least 1 year to reach to the level of those master students with German students. I certainly felt I started producing results maybe in my second year of, like, it's a short PhD, again 3-year PhD in Germany. I started producing results maybe by end of my second year or so. Then I never looked back. So because there was also again, uh, we made a very important contribution during my PhD. So that was a serendipity in the laboratory. So we found it a polymer which containing some metals, and that led to a different new science in organic light emitting diodes. That was a very exciting time. So that I felt it during my PhD. Now I have contributed like this. Certainly, I can become a very good scientist pursuing science further.
And like all these things, after all these things, how that this culture to publish to perish and this fast-paced nature of science has impacted you or has shaped your thoughts, and how what are its impacts on general.
I think that's across the globe right now. At the moment, people do feel pressure. I should also feel, let me be honest with you. I also feel that pressure. I should not say that, okay, I don't feel that pressure. I do feel that pressure. But again, it's science is like like a religion. You practice science, the way you feel. I don't know what's the right word to use it, but it is a competition with you always. It's not competition with the rest of the world. So now you are a professor in Premier Institute of India. You are blessed with all the resources, wonderful students, wonderful colleagues. Then in that sense, I think it is important to ask that question to yourself. What is the direction you want to, or what is the culture you want to adopt? You have to still publish and write papers, because it's very, very important for students and postdocs working with you. You have to also think about their future. So you need to keep writing papers. That way also you stay relevant in the community. But not large number of papers, not like diluting science. Every experiment need to be reported, whatever you do in the lab. You can still write a decent number of papers. You can still make it very valuable contribution to the field. But I suggest you don't take any extreme. Don't say like, I'm not going to publish. Then your students and people who are working with you, they will suffer. Also, the other extreme is, don't say, okay, I'm going to publish like 30-40 paper in a year. Publish which is things which matter. It is, again, science has to bring in public domain. So we are funded by Government of India. We have to bring our observations and everything in the public domain. That is the way science grows. So if you start writing in and around that, you will certainly make a very good contributions in the science. And then you will not feel pressure. Otherwise, every discovery or every experiment in your lab, you see, okay, I'm going to write a paper, then you start feeling, eh, you know, more pressure. And you will never feel happy about writing the papers which are people have forgotten next day. Okay, so you need to make important contribution in the field.
And how would you say your relationship with your supervisors were, like in NCL Pune and then in Germany?
They were, I think I was blessed with very good people around. So I had a very good PhD supervisor in Germany. But my main, major change in my life was my postdoctoral supervisor. His name is Fred Woodle in University of California and UCLA. When he was a scientist, was very broad in terms of the way he used to think. He was an organic chemist, but he had a lot of intuition in physics. So I think, and he was also very strict. Okay, so he was the person, you know, when I joined his lab, my life totally changed, because that's the reason mentors matter. Okay, in life, or, mentors play important role, because he was, always thought problems, research problems which are out of the box. It was never routine research in his lab. So, and our group meetings were very, very, long, and, very, we used to discuss a lot. So that way, what happened is it triggered, and then it sort of made me to think science beyond organic chemistry. So although I joined his lab as an organic chemist, but we started thinking a lot more about devices. If you see now, that is, you know, sort of, you can see in my research today. So I have it just, so mentors play a very important role. In Germany, I got a lot more training of synthesizing polymers, but when I went to US, I got a training, not only in synthesis, but how to think about it, taking these materials to the next level. So the mentors play a very important role. That's where I was very blessed. I got a people of a different level at, where I got a sufficient training from them actually.
Then, what is that one piece of advice you'd want to give to a person who is in their early career research? And
Yeah, so I'm not that still very old to give a very, it's okay, I can still give advice to, let's say, assistant professor. So, you have to, when you return country like India, now I think there are very good resources in the country and very good labs in the, then you can really think of long-term research program. Don't go for shortcuts. Means you are writing a paper as a assistant professor or a very early career researcher during your PhDs also. So it's important, right, to make a meaningful contribution to the science. So then it takes some time. You have to that is not a very, easy path where you can immediately start, think about new ideas and implement those ideas in the lab. So I would say that it is, if you perhaps initially you will take a baby steps, but if you have a long term research program to develop in the lab, you have to certainly think about it out of the box in your field. Where does it stand, and what is a new contribution to it you are going to make it? Because every generation of scientists, they have to make a new contribution to the science. So it's that clarity is very important in your mind. Then you start enjoying the journey along with any hurdles come on your way. Okay, so that is very important, right? So you have to push science at next level. Eventually, how we are going to make a better world than yesterday. I think that's a major responsibility on a scientist. So for that, you have to really think about it, what best you can do. Actually, like given a resources, given a, place, what you are practicing science.
So that completes the interview. But just want to take a tangent from here a little bit and talk a little bit about your work here, specifically organic molecular semiconductors and how that can revolutionize the upcoming
Yes.
segment. So, what is one thing that you see that is very promising right now in your lab, and how will that affect, and with the global wars right now with chip manufacturing in China and US, how does India play a strategic role in targeting this?
Yeah, see, molecular semiconductors are going to become a big way. Certainly, there's a big future for molecular semiconductor, because flexible electronics, something in a semiconducting world, is going to take over. So the research in this field, especially, I wouldn't say it's only my research, but entire community working in organic semiconductor. It's a very important. It is going to play a very important role in energy, for example, in energy sector. It is very going to play important role in, for example, space technology. So this flexible electronics, is something where organic semiconductors are going to be very important materials. There I feel it's going to play important role. So the research which we are doing it currently, we are always looking at something very fundamental, major breakthroughs, and for next 5-10 years, because now we know so much already. We have learned so much about this material. So we are still looking at those major breakthroughs, something which has not been observed in this material. Can we see something totally new? Okay, so that there I feel I have some ideas in my mind. I think we are going to make that important contribution. But the ongoing research program, where in the area of solar cells, in the area of something called a mix and conductors, that's going to play a very important role. So in academics, you want to really bring ideas which matters in a in a real world applications. So this is a very applied field, and it has a lot of potential. So students working in this area also should have a lot more to explore, because it's such a beautiful interdisciplinary field where you can you know take a you get a training, you develop your technical skills during your PhD, and then you can just choose your own path and contribute. So that way it is a exciting time also for this field.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, you can join us by subscribing to our channel down below and tell us in the comments which scientist you want to be interviewed next. Also, you can connect to us by our socials which are linked in the description, and stay tuned, stay curious. We hope to see you in the next video. Bye.